On today's episode of the SPMA Council Podcast, we had on Brock SPMA alum and the founder of Shop Dressr, Sarah-Marie Doherty, onto the show. We talked about her time in sport management, which included an exchange to the University of Florida for tourism and sport management. We chat about the founding year for Shop Dressr, which was in 2019, and the motivation behind starting her own business. We also talked about her strategy she uses from a marketing and social media perspective to reach consumers, the hurdles that she's had to navigate with her business, and the long-term aspirations for Shop Dressr. Big thank you to Jake Matthews for coming on to host the show. And just a heads up for those listening on audio, I said on something along the lines of I missed the smash completely. That was because if you're watching the video version, I tried to hit a ping pong ball with a racket during the video during our intro, and I failed horribly. So you can have a good laugh at that, but rest assured, I'll be coming back for some sort of redemption during the next episode. So you can have a good laugh at that before the interview starts. But without further ado, we hope you enjoy this edition of the show. Sit back and relax and enjoy, because this is the SPMA Council Podcast. How's it going, everybody? That was the worst smash ever. Hope you're having a fantastic day. I invite you to pull up a chair, sit back and relax, and welcome you to another episode of the SPMA Council Podcast. Oh my God, that was dismal.
It's the effort that counted.
Oh my God. Am I that bad at ping pong? My game needs some work. So slander me in the comments.
Because the Lofts building has been closed. That's why.
I should have went with a backhand, because I'm better with that. But wow, geez, I don't remember failing on an intro that hard before for the show. But we will go with it. Joining us for this episode, as a special guest co-host, he was on the show last season when we brought on Tyler Matthews of Athletes Can onto the show. Please welcome SPMA Council member Jake Matthews onto the show, fresh off a spring and summer trip up in Alberta. Jake, how's it going, buddy?
Good. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be in person.
Good for sure. How was Alberta, bud?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, I was working there, but it didn't feel like work. It just felt like a 4-month vacation.
Well, it looks like you were golfing every 3 days. So I don't.
Definitely 4 or 5 times.
So I totally get it. Yeah, but whereabouts though?
I was in Jasper, so just about like 3.5 hours from Banff. Just a little, basically Banff, but smaller.
Nice, very nice.
And beat free golf, so why not?
100%. No one's turning that down, especially COVID, where it's like the safest recreational option.
Exactly.
Don't blame it. But on getting down to business here. We had a very awesome episode with Sarah-Marie Doherty, Brock SPMA alum and the founder of Shop Dressr. If anyone doesn't know what Shop Dressr is, it's an apparel store featuring a bunch of Canadian universities that they sell T-shirts, sweaters, all kinds of unique, edgy university apparel with cool slogans, and no doubt this business, and watch out for this business in the next couple of years, because with the trajectory it's on, and it's hard to miss, because if you're on Instagram and TikTok, chances are, if you're a university student, you may have seen it. But with the trajectory that's on, this venture could be going big in the next few years or so. So Jake, I just wanted to ask you what your main takeaways were for you during this interview.
Yeah, I liked this how like realistic she was, like all of her strategies and just how she got to where she was. She didn't like lie or say anything like that. It's just very realistic of how people's career path are going to be, and gave a very unique perspective on her social media like strategies and marketing strategies.
She was very upfront with with especially business strategy. There's a science to what she does, and a lot of it is a great use of indirect marketing. I won't go into detail to ruin it for you guys, but it's all about, especially on the social media side, it's all about getting eyes on what she's selling and what she's making available to consumers, which are university students like us. And she's been able to effectively use the platforms like Instagram and TikTok to grow her brand. And just seeing what it takes to operate a business, the level of passion and commitment it takes. It's really admirable, is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not as glamorous as it may always seem. She definitely shows that hard work needs to be put into it.
No, and I think this is another episode where we can see sport management experience at Brock being used in a variety of other forms, and it's quite transferable. The skills that she talks about at its core, are skills that can be that are taught in some courses at the SPMA program. For example, sports sales and promotions. The skills that the course teaches from a theoretical perspective definitely are put to use in Dressr's business plan, and how she markets their products. Marketing's obvious an obvious one, even sponsorship and stuff like that. So it really shows, I guess, the transferability of the SPMA degree.
Yeah, definitely, I agree.
I guess we should probably move on to the interview, because if I say any more, I might give away some stuff and someone's going to be complaining that I spoiled a few parts of the interview. So I guess before we head off to the interview with Sarah, Jake, any final thoughts before we get her going?
Hope everyone likes it. It's definitely one of the more unique podcasts we have, and it'll be good.
100%, Jake. All right, let's without further ado, let's swing it over to Sarah-Marie Doherty, Brock SPMA alum and the current founder of Shop Dressr. Enjoy, everybody. All right, for this edition of the SPMA Council Podcast, we have quite the guest coming onto the show, a proud SPMA grad, as well as a University of Florida alum for an exchange program in tourism and sport management. She started with Canlan Ice Sports as a programs manager, but discovered a passion in university apparel with Shop Dressr, which founded in 2019. It's a rapidly expanding one-stop shop for unique university apparel, featuring universities across the country from coast to coast. Please welcome our guest for this show, Sarah-Marie Doherty. Welcome, and how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
No problem. to get this show on the road, this is the de facto first word of the SPMA Council podcast. Sarah, what mindset have you adopted to forge a successful career?
Yeah, so I have been thinking about this since you guys sent me over this question, and I saw that you guys were announcing that this whole season was going to be about mindset in general. So I gave a couple things a thought, but I think the number one mindset that's really got me where I am today is basically saying yes to almost every opportunity that I was given from university and now going forward. Now that my career's developed a little further, I have been able to say no to more projects, which has been nice to have a little bit more creative control and more management of my time. But when I was in university, I literally said yes to everything, whether it be like helping someone with an assignment, internships, volunteer opportunities, whatever it took, like I was there. So I think that's been a major like mindset thing for me going forward.
Yeah, and it's like simple stuff that you mentioned, like helping people with assignments. I mean, to the newer people, to the people that have just spent a couple weeks in the SPMA program. And by the way, again, we hope that you're adjusting well to the academic term. These people can be connections in the long run. They can be, and more importantly, they can be good mates. I mean, like just helping with assignments. At the very least, just get you get you meeting new people. And I can speak from personal experience. For a guy that came from Mississauga, knowing absolutely no one in the program. Offering to help people a bit with assignments, or just talking to them in general. Like I know, like I can count on both hands like how many people I met in first year that I can consider great friends of mine to this day. So definitely an excellent strategy if you're looking to adjust smoothly to the SPMA program and university life in general.
People remember the small
100%.
things.
Yes, I
Just
agree
the little
completely.
things can help. They'll remember it a lot more than you'd think.
Yeah,
100%.
100%.
Right. So Sarah, you spent at Brock for the SPMA program from 2013-2017, which included the exchange of tourism sport management at the University of Florida. During that time, what sort of niches were you trying to focus on career-wise, whether it be sports or elsewhere in your life?
Yeah, absolutely. So my 4 years at Brock were a little more, I don't want to say unique, but I was definitely on a different career path than most of the people in the program. I always tell this story that when I first came to Brock, we were in a class of 180 people, and the professor, I don't remember specifically who it was, but they said, who here wants to be the GM of the Leafs? And almost everyone in the class raised their hand. And I kind of sat there and was like, maybe I'm in the wrong program. Like I was like, this is not what I'm looking to do. And then I had another, I don't want to say incident, but situation where all the sports I participated in when I was a kid weren't like tournament style. I grew up racing motocross. I was a competitive like power tumbler and cheerleader. So I was in very like unique sports. So I never competed in something tournament style. And I remember Professor Chard said something. We had like an assignment where we had to do like a round robin thing. And I literally made an appointment with him to figure out what a round robin was, because I didn't know. Like I genuinely was like, I just don't know what that is. And he kind of looked at me and was like, what are you doing? And I was like, dude, like I am here to work in extreme sports. Like I want to work for the X Games. Like I want to do some sort of like snowboarding, NASCAR, IndyCar, like F1. Like I want to work for Red Bull. Like I want to help people jump out of planes, like do super obscure stuff like that, because I was like raised in the extreme sports industry. So that was really my focus, was trying to get the attention of the extreme sports world, which was a little more difficult in Canada, but I made my way through it and eventually got into that side of sport.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, like I like the stereotype around SPMA students is like, oh, everyone's sports people. They know everything about sports, that's it. But it isn't always like a one-dimensional background of like of my favorite sports, hockey or
Yeah.
football or basketball. Like some people come to the program for very different reasons, and from not from, I guess, not traditional sports backgrounds, which
Yeah,
which
100%.
yeah, which makes SPMA which makes SPMA like really unique. It exposes you to different people with different stories, different ways, and like how they actually came to the program, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was
So
cool.
yeah. So fast forward a couple years. And 2019 was a bit of a milestone for you, to put it lightly, as that was the founding year for your business, Shop Dressr. I just want to understand, what was the motivation behind making the decision to found your own business and start up in the apparel space?
Yeah, I'll try and make a very long story short, but I may ramble on a bit, so bear with me.
No worries.
I came from a very entrepreneurial background. So my parents are both entrepreneurs. Sometimes when I would be in corporate life, my parents would literally be like, just quit your job, like just start a business. And I was like, oh, it's so easy. You can't just quit your job, but okay. So when I was in high school, my parents owned a competitive cheerleading gym, and I would do like all the like apparel designs for us and the website designs. And we would always have my designs sent off to a printer, and someone would print them, and we'd get them back. And I'd always be like, oh, I bet I could do this for so much cheaper. Or, like, I bet I could do this one day when I get a heat press. Like, it was like a running joke that one day I would have a heat press. And now I have a heat press. So that's great. So it all came around. It was good. But anyways, after Brock, I worked in sport for a couple years, and I worked for like IndyCar, and I worked for NASCAR. And in Canada, that's not something, unfortunately, there's many like full-time positions in. So it was just after that, kind of taking what I could get. And I was working in hockey at the time, which, like, no offense to hockey, but I hate it. So it's like, I know everyone has their sports, but it's definitely not mine. So I wasn't exactly sure why I was working in hockey. And I was having like a little bit of an existential crisis. Like, after I graduated, I really went through a hard time of like post-grad depression and figuring out, like, if I wasn't a student, who was I? And at the time, I was in a long distance relationship with a guy from Queens. So I spent a lot of my time in the car listening to podcasts. And do you know who Jay Shetty is? Do you ever listen to Jay Shetty?
That
No.
name sounds familiar, but I may need a refresher.
He's not a sports podcast guy. He's like he's a former monk, actually, and teaches people about purpose and well-being. I would highly recommend him if you haven't listened to him before. But he was basically talking about in an episode, saying like, how do you find your passion and your purpose? Like, and he was like, one of the number one ways you can do that is to look at your credit card statement. So if you look at your credit card statement and you spend all your money like on streaming services for like games, or like going to football games or going to hockey games, like, you can tell that like you're passionate about sports. And he was like, what do you do in your free time? And I started to analyze like what I did in my free time, and none of it was sports related. And I was like, am I really that passionate about sports? Why do I want to work in this industry? Like, what am I chasing and why? And I kind of analyzed, I gave myself like a little psychotherapy session. And was like, you know what? Maybe like I've been chasing this because my dad loves extreme sports. And on some level, I just want to impress him and make him think that I'm interesting so he can tell his friends his daughter works for NASCAR. And there's something about like women in extreme sports that's like attractive on some level. Like, men like when women can talk sports with them. And like, I was really like digging into this, and I was like, why am I doing this if it's really not who I am? I don't talk about sports. I don't go to events. Like, I don't do any of this. Whose dream am I chasing? So existential crisis taking place in the car. So that was fun. And so I started to analyze like what I do spend my money on and what I am passionate about. And a lot of it came down to fashion. Like, I love fashion, and I love like presenting your passion, literally wearing your heart on your sleeve and saying like, I don't go to Queens, but like, I'm a Queens student. Like, this is who I'm proud to wear this. You're wearing a Brock Sport Management t-shirt because you're proud to be part of like Brock Sport Management. And like, a lot of people do that. Of course, we tell stories of who we are through our clothing. And a number of events kind of led up to what Dressr has now became. But like I said, my boyfriend was a Queens student, and he asked me to come to homecoming with him. And I was at work one day and just decided that I was going to like design a t-shirt for myself for homecoming, because I went on the Queens like bookstore website and I didn't see anything that like really spoke to me. I wanted something that was like a little more edgy and a little more fashionable, and said basically like, I don't go to Queens, but still, hey, like, and I was going to figure out how to print a t-shirt. I was like, this is my mission, to figure out how to print a t-shirt for myself. So I made a design that said, I kissed a Gale and I liked it. And I was like, that's funny. That's edgy. Like, I think this is super cute. And I literally bought like an inkjet printer and transfer paper that you would like print out an image and iron it on with like an iron. It's like the worst quality. I still have it. Wine stains all over it. Like, it's just like terrible, but like, I don't want to get rid of it because it's like the first thing, one of the first things I ever made. And I made a couple designs, and this was all, I was living in a basement apartment in Etobicoke, like trying to make t-shirts like in this guy's basement. And a couple people said to me, like, we really like that. Do you think you could make us a design for homecoming? And I was like, sure, like, let me see what I can do. So I made a couple designs that said like post grad and sad, because I felt that. And I thought Queen students might feel that too. Hot Gale Hoko, Gale's Gone Wild, like that kind of stuff. And I sold like 7 shirts to my friends. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I was like, this could, maybe I could do like, make some shirts and do this like on the side or whatever. And then I was like, maybe I could do something for St. Patty's Day. Like, there's not really any specific St. Patty's Day merch. So I kept on working in my hockey job, and I'd go home at night. And because I wasn't doing anything after work, I didn't know anyone in the GTA. Like, I was like, oh, I'll build a business. I made a bunch of like St. Patty's Day shirts, and I was kind of like, same thing. My like brand is very like edgy, sarcastic. Like, it has like a very distinct brand voice. And I don't know if you know the like competition between like Aberdeen and Ezra, like as like the party streets for like Queens and Laurier.
That's a rivalry in itself.
Yes, exactly. So I made shirts for St. Patty's Day that said Ezra didn't get accepted to Queens. And people were like, love that. Because I wanted to like humanize Ezra and be like, hey, that guy sucks. And like, he couldn't even get into Queens. And like, what's funny is when I was applying for university, I couldn't even figure out the Queens website. Like, I was like, if I can't figure out what programs they offer, I'm definitely not smart enough to go here. So it's funny now that I'm like making merch for them, saying like, oh, this guy's not smart enough to get into Queens. But in reality, I couldn't get into Queens. It's like, it just wasn't happening, but that's not the point. And so my goal was to sell 25 shirts, and I sold 75. And I was like, shit, like, I was like, this could be something. And then the pandemic happened, and I don't want to get into like the whole story, but that was basically the beginning of it. Was I started making shirts and realized that like my passion wasn't necessarily in sports, it was maybe in something different. And started to go down that career path.
Yeah, and you know, and you know, I think that's probably like one of the fears that, you know, students may have. It's like, oh, well, if I don't get into sports right away, you know, am I a failure? Was the 4 years worth it? And
yeah,
this is something that, you know, I've gotten to realize is that, you know, the SPMA degree is actually fairly transferable. in when you look past the sports slant. There's a business oriented slant. There's a business oriented slant too. So the marketing classes, the sponsorship classes, sales and promotions. All those are foundational concepts for what you have to do well to be successful in business, or in your case, if you're running your own, right? And sometimes you're forced to make those hard decisions of which route do I take, and you have to bet on yourself sometimes. This is funny because with the podcast, I was like the first episode, I was sort of riding shotgun because I honestly didn't have a clue what was happening production wise, but other than conducting the interview itself. So it was a hard question of am I able to do this? I literally don't know anything about this. What if I screw up? And I just decided, what I sense there's the opportunities there. Let's just ride with it. See how it goes, and bend yourself and push out your comfort zone a little, and like
absolutely.
Switching paths. That is just a massive risk and a massive bet on yourself to trust that you're head in the right direction. And again, it can be scary, but with time, patience, commitment, and the vision to see through what you're passionate about, usually puts you in the right direction for success. And for Shop Dressr, I honestly think I think it has, like, I can't miss it when I go on the Instagram or TikTok. It's everywhere.
I'm following you. Yeah, I mean, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I have friends at other schools that have like bought your shirts and stuff from like Loya and Queens and stuff like that.
That's really cool. The one thing that, like, when I get back, I don't want to make this sound like a therapy session by any means, but a lot of what Shop Dressr is like one of my major driving forces in life is legacy. And I'm very driven because of like a fear, like a unreasonable fear of death, that like I'm going to be forgotten. And when I was working in sports, I had a really big interest in like sport architecture as well. That was something that I was maybe looking to explore, and like facility management, because I loved the idea of like building a building or building an event or a program. And if I were to be gone, that would still be around after I was gone. I loved the idea of like something that I had my physical fingerprints on being here, no matter if I was or not. And that's one of the major things about Shop Dressr for me is like, if something were to happen to me, there would still be people wearing clothing that I physically designed and created with my own hands. And that's something that's really important to me. Is I want to leave a legacy, and I want there to be something tangible here, no matter what happens, because I think, like, literally, especially with the events that we saw this weekend at Western, we can see that someone's life can be taken away so quickly. And it's terrifying. Yep. We're living in the middle of a global pandemic as well, where you could go to the store and get sick, and all of a sudden your life changes. So yep. I think something really important to me is making sure that I'm making a tangible impact here, in everything that I do. Sorry. I think anyone's come on the podcast yet and been like, the existential crisis, I'm scared of death. But that's like, I'm very authentic and like real with who I am and what my driving forces are, because I've had a lot of time to like think about like why I do things and like what's the driving force behind my behavior. And I think it's really important to be very like vulnerable and open about that stuff, because other people are feeling those
100%.
things too.
Mhm.
They just maybe don't know how to vocalize it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay, we can move on.
So from a marketing and social media perspective, could you explain any of the types of strategies they use to effectively gain consumers? And that could either be first time or reoccurring buyers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you guys kind of mentioned it. I am very active on social media, which is funny because like the first time I ever posted a TikTok, I was like terrified. I was like, I'm 24 years old. There's kids on here who are going to make fun of me. Like, I was like, this is not the place for me at all. But have either of you ever read the book, Jab, 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 Right Hook by Gary Vee?
I've heard the title, but I don't think I've read the book.
I'm going to send you guys like a reading list and a podcast list all over, like after this. And your mind is just going to be so awakened to new ideas.
We can, we can include, we can actually, we can include in the description for sure.
Yeah, like in the show notes, we can do like a link to the book and like the podcast and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so the idea basically is that you're never really selling until the right hook. So you get like content of me being like, this is a sweater, this is something funny, whatever. And then boom, like I've hooked you for the sale. So an example of this would be, I post a video on TikTok and I'm wearing this queen sweater and I'm saying like, haha, like walk Western, like whatever. I just look like a regular Queens student making funny Queens relatable content. And you're like, haha, that's funny. Subliminally, you're like, I like that sweater. You scroll, you keep doing your thing, whatever. You're now on Queens campus and you see someone walking around in another very unique looking sweater. Little do you know, it's my brother, and I've basically placed him there as a crisis actor to like make you think about me and the sweater that I designed. So you're seeing something again. You then again go to like an event and you see someone in like an edgy, funny thing. And you're like, you know what? Those sweaters are pretty cool. I want to buy one. So you go to the bookstore, you can't find it. You go to Tricolor, which is like their like clothing store on campus here at Queens. You can't find it. So you go back to my TikTok that you saved of me saying walk Western, click on the account and realize you weren't even engaging with a store, because I was never explicitly like, hey, buy this t-shirt. I was just wearing it and you happen to like it. So then once you finally get there, you're like, oh, this is exclusive. This is different. Like she never said to me, you never saw sponsored or like ad or whatever it was. It was a subliminal technique to make you think about me when you see different like sweater designs online. So you like get them without explicitly selling, so when they're finally ready to purchase, they think of you. So that's kind of like my technique in sales, is like I don't ever want to be pushy. I want it to be very subliminal. Have you ever seen the movie Focus with Will Smith and Margot Robbie? Robbie,
I've
you've
seen that
it.
one. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. So there's a scene in that movie where they're like basically like trying to manipulate someone into picking a certain number. So the entire day they say to him in different ways, they show him the number 55. They make him hear the number 55. So when he's finally ready to pick a number, he chooses 55. And it's a very similar technique that I'm looking to use here, that it's a very natural and organic sales technique. So you're never actually ever being told, but on some level you're hearing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I completely understand. Like it's a brilliant use of indirect marketing. Like you're not explicitly pushing the product, but as consumers engage, that's where they're peeling back the multiple layers that
100%.
that you have embedded. That you have embed in a plan that is indirect, but from your standpoint, it's indirect for a reason. And then
Yeah, and
that forces them to engage more, be intrigued, and then look to a potential sale. But the worst case scenario, even if they don't buy, that's eyes on your product. And
100%.
that's only going to grow. That's only going to grow bigger with that strategy, and more favorably than a buy this shirt, buy this shirt because XYZ,
Yeah,
whatever.
it's not, my shirts aren't
however many.
embroidered. They're not like, I'm not saying they're not better than anyone else's, but they're just as good as a shirt you could buy in the bookstore. It's just, for me, more about like the experience of being part of the Shop Dressr community. Like, I want to give you more of the experience than you would be getting at a bookstore. Like, we had a pop-up on the weekend, and we were doing shots with all of our customers. Like, I don't think anybody at your local bookstore is like, hey, come buy a sweater and I'm gonna get you a shot. Like, I know that, or like, we had a pancake kegger once for anyone who bought our like merchandise for St. Patrick's Day. I want it to be an experience. And then like, all of our photo shoots as well are students from that school. So then when you go on our website, you're seeing people who you see around your school and you see on your campus. So it feels really real and authentic to your university experience, because it's actual people. It's not models. It's not me. It used to be me when we couldn't like take photos of people, but like, it's real to like what you're experiencing. So then it feels like comforting and close. And as well with like the TikTok marketing, is it almost feels like you found me. I wasn't searching for you because you came across me on your For You page. So it's, again, a very indirect way of doing marketing, because millennials and Gen Z really don't like to be marketed to. They're very minimalistic in that way, is that when they feel like companies being too pushy, they pull away. They don't want that. They want to see hauls of fashion, and they want to see other people wearing the stuff and it feel a part of the community. So when they find me on TikTok, it's almost like a secret, like they found this account. And like, it's, when someone's like, oh, like I knew this band before they were popular or whatever.
Yep.
It's almost like that feeling.
Yeah, 100%. And TikTok's become a great tool because like the algorithm can recommend videos out of the blue that you really didn't even have before. You didn't really you really didn't know or want to search for them. But with every video that comes up on that For You page, and you engage on in it automatically, you're more motivated to do more, especially if you're a business trying to cater to a generation where I'm going to be frank, our generation's attention spans are fairly very short. So TikTok's the perfect way to do that. So moving on in a different slant with Dressr. Let's just face it. This past year and God knows how long has been a journey.
It's been
say the
something.
least. So, what have been some of the hurdles that you've had to navigate with Dressr? It could be like supply, such as supply chain issues with product.
So my biggest hurdle has actually been getting the school's attention and getting them to work with me directly. So I'm not promoting any illegal activity here, and I don't think anyone should do something illegal when they start a business. But when I started my business, none of the merchandise was licensed. As such, technically illegal. It's nothing terrible, but it is what was happening. When I started the business, I was just making merch. I was making designs. I didn't think any of the schools were going to notice, because I was just some kid like selling t-shirts on Etsy at the beginning. Like, I was like, they'll never know. And then I made a TikTok that went like semi-viral. It had like it's not now, I know it's not semi-viral, but it got like 6,000 views. And I was like, I am Charlie D'Amelio. Like, I was like, I thought I was hot shit. Like, in that, I remember being up at 2 a.m. being like, oh my God, 200 likes, like 200, like I was like freaking out.
Serotonin overload.
Yeah. So that happened. And then I got 5 cease and desists like in a week. Like, it was like Queens,
Lord.
Laurier, Western, like they were all like, hey, we heard about you and we're not happy about it. And I was like,
Oh boy.
so that's why when I first started, I was making Brock merch, and I was making really cool Brock merch. And then they sent me a cease and desist, and I had to take it all down, which of course, like I know I had to, like that's the right thing to do. And I wanted to make my business like a fully legal licensed brand. So when I got the cease and desist from those companies like Queens or McMaster or Laurier, I sent them an email back and said, hey, like, sure, like 100% I'll take it down. I'll stop doing what I'm doing. But what if instead we work together? Like, what if instead you gave me your licensing rights and we did this all legally? And they were like, sure, which actually worked out in my favor, because I feel like if I had approached them with no business experience, no designs, no customers, whatever, as a 23-year-old girl at the time, they would have been like, get lost, like kick rocks. We don't want you around. But the fact that I could go to them and say, I have all of these people who are interested in my merchandise. I have these designs. I already have a website built. I just want to give you money. They were like, all right. So that was actually helpful. Like, I know it sounds like a bad roundabout way to get a licensing deal, but it worked. And then since then, I've contacted other schools and gotten them in the proper formal setting, which is very good. But yeah, the number one thing has been getting schools to agree to work with me, because it's just something that isn't done. Like, there's no other retailer in the marketplace in Canada that's doing third-party designs for schools. So I think they're very either weary or just like scared to give away their licensing rights, because it's something they've never done before. And think about like Fanatics in the US, like that's a major brand that does third-party printing for all the universities. And I would love for one day this to basically become Fanatics Canada, where I'm able to make merch for every university in Canada and have very unique, nice stuff that the schools don't even have to put their hands on. So right now I do have all of their emails, and I have emailed all of them. And the hurdle is getting them to be like, yeah, we do want to work with you. So now I'm at the point though, where I'm saying to students, okay, I've contacted them all. They either have an exclusive like partnership with someone else, they're not interested, they're just straight up ghosting me, like whatever the fact may be. It's now in the students' hands to go to the schools and say to their bookstore, hey, do you carry Shop Dressr? If you don't, could you? Like, if we start putting the pressure in the students into the schools, maybe they'll remember that email they got 6 months ago and be like, students actually want this. We were maybe scared of it or didn't think it would work, but we're seeing that our students do indeed want this.
Yeah, I think it's such a unique it's such a unique business design that, you know, again you know, maybe they probably don't know how to react to it, even though you know it's legitimate. Universities have bought into this, and you know, it's product that is in tune for the ideal consumer for this, which is mostly university and college students. Like, you know, the US, you know, has so like, if you go to the US or even here, like you're not gonna it's not gonna be long before, you know, you see a piece of merch from a major sports school that's in the SEC. Maybe you see a couple Clemson shirts around there. Michigan, Oregon.
My dad wears a Notre Dame shirt almost every day of his life. Like
Huge
literally,
fi-
he has the Fighting Irish logo tattooed on his body. Why?
Oh my.
Like
Wow.
that is so like ridiculous fandom. Like there is no one. Okay, maybe there's somebody. I don't think there's anybody with like a Brock Badgers tattoo just walk around with a badger paw like on their arm being like Badgers. Like,
Yeah.
and why
yeah,
not though? Like we need that pride.
I know,
I'm not
I know,
doing
and I know, and it is getting there, but the waiting game is obviously frustrating, but the real satisfaction is when that word of acceptance comes through, like what happened with Queens. And it was more, and it seemed like a domino effect. Organized some events, got the word out, sold some t-shirts. Everyone liked the product because it's Queen's colors, and for people in that university or wanting to go to that university, it's cool to associate with the tricolor brand.
Yeah, and I think as well, one of the major things is like most universities have been selling the exact same thing for a very long time.
Right.
So I'm sure if I walked into the Brock bookstore, there would be a lot of the same options that were there when I started there in 2013. So, and that's nothing against them. They know their brand, they know what people like. But we live in a very fashion forward society where kids want things that are very different and like fit their style. And I mean, I'm trying to think about what I have from Brock merchandise. I have a Brock Sport Management Council hoodie and a Brock Sport Management t-shirt. And I wear them either to the gym or to bed or whatever. But I would love to wear something that like I think is really like fashionable and cool. And I would wear it on a more regular basis if there were options for that. Like I have a Queen sweater on this rack that's like black, and then the logo is also in black, so it's like a reflective, like very subtle sweater. And I see people wearing them all the time with like leather pants and like biker shorts and stuff like that, because it is like a fashion forward look. And you wouldn't necessarily wear like your like Queen's hoodie with the big embroidered patch on it, but if you have some more like subtle fashion forward options, you're going to see people wearing them more, which is good for the school and good for the brand.
100%.
Yeah.
We're going to touch base on some future plans now. So if any, are there any long-term aspirations for Shop Dressr?
Yeah, I think definitely I get asked that question quite a lot. And what's funny is I always say, like, I didn't know that this wasn't even like in my career path 5 years ago. So to think about like the future of this business, I don't know, like necessarily. And I know that trying to word this correctly, there's like a time limit on me doing this, because soon I'm going to start getting crow's feet. And one day I'm going to want to get pregnant. And like nobody wants a pregnant lady hanging around on her university campus. Like I'm 25 years old. There's a very short window for me like selling university merch in the same way I am now. And definitely one day I'll hire staff to be the face of the brand so I can just do the behind the scenes work. So right now there's a very small window for me to be like who I am in the like public eye for Shop Dressr. So I would very much like to continue the university line of things and continue that on. But like I said as well, I'm very interested in fashion in general. So I would love to turn this into like a fashion company as well and design things, mostly overcoats. I love jackets. I would just love to have like an overcoat collection. I just want to design fall clothes, basically it. But like I would love to just have like a full collection of clothes that isn't necessarily branded to the universities, but then also have like the university apparel there as well as an option. So
yeah, those seem like great goals to aspire to. And with the trajectory that Dressr's on now, I wouldn't be surprised if you achieve a good handful of those in a few years time. But look at Sarah. This was great having you on the show to share your career path from SPMA to your current position as founder of Shop Dressr. To close off the show, as is tradition here at the SPMA Council Podcast, we like to give the guest of the final word, if you will, to end off the show with us. You can just say what's going on right now with Dressr, or just anything you want to get off your chest and shoot the breeze with us for a couple minutes longer. So Sarah, thanks again, and the floor is yours.
My final words are, Brock, please contact me. I want to work with you so bad. I have kids harassing me in my email, in my comment section, in my DMs. I want to give you money. My email is order@shopdressr.com, shopdressr.com. Please contact me. I love you. I gave you 4 years of school tuition. I want to give you more money. Thank you. That is all.
That's probably one of the more entertaining and emphatic endings I have seen to the podcast thus far. But Sarah, thank you so much for coming on. And in your spare time, listeners, please check out Shop Dressr. Just to see what this company's up to. It's a great brand dedicated to providing quality university apparel that everyone will love. So Sarah, thanks again for joining the show. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.